So guys, we've got the Carbon Cub SS, which has been discontinued by Horizon Hobby for some unknown reason to me. It's got flaps and lights built in, factory default. These are the floats that you can buy. They're like 20 bucks. I have some scrapes on them, and if you get these things, usually I just fly in snow with them. So I have flown off water, but it's a little bit sketchy on getting the breaking the surface tension to get out of the water. So it looks a little dumb, but on the landings it looks great. A couple of batteries I run on these, 300 milliamp hour, 35 through 70 discharge, E-Flight compatible, nano-tech, so it's got the smaller ends on them than just your standard balanced charge lead. And then there's not like a GST lead. This lead I reattached to this battery. I can't remember why. And then this one happens to be 180 milliamp 2S 25C, so a little bit lower discharge rate. You can run both of them in this plane. The floats make it fly a little bit different, but that's okay. You can still get down to the magnetically closed hatch and you can still make everything work. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you this. Yeah guys, this is one of the few planes that I have that I didn't put the LEDs in. I'm just gonna wait for it to initiate. Got the DX18 bound up. Obviously, no, you don't need a DX18 to fly this plane. Need at least 5 channels so you can run the flaps. I'll just show you the flaps. Take off, landing, ailerons, of course, rudder, elevator, then of course throttle. I've got a throttle cut turned on right now. My timer is set to 7 minutes. Back in the day, I used to get 7 minutes. My 2S batteries haven't been exercised too much, so I'm guessing we probably won't get that type of flight time, but I just wanted to show you. We'll just go ahead and today we'll just lay down some wet grass, and that'll give us enough break in the friction so we can take off. It's been kind of foggy all day, so somebody asked me a question about the red plane on my truck with the other, I was doing a duet video years ago, and so we'll probably just go ahead and we'll probably just hand launch it. You can fly it slow if you want. There's a little bit of a headwind coming that way, guys. Let's go down here so we can get a little better exposure. Got my takeoff flaps engaged, about 10% throttle here. She's floaty right now because there's a little bit of headwind coming at it. Beautiful plane. I love this plane. AS3X, of course, as you can probably imagine. Flying a touch tail heavy right now. I'm going to try to get some low passes here. This plane is a great plane though, guys. I love it. I'm really disappointed with Horizon Hobby for discontinuing it. I mean, honestly, what they ought to do is they ought to have the Carbon Cub that's available with Safe Select instead of having their whatever plane they've got out right now. Feeling like I might be losing the battery here, so I might put it down. No, I'm not losing my battery. I just feel like I'm maybe trimmed funny right now. Not sure what's going on. But either way, guys, I've flown this thing for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of flights. It's had a really rough life. I actually remember one time I hit a light pole, ripped the wing in half, and landed it with extreme dihedral. That's not where you want to put it down, by the way. Because it'll scrape up the paint. That was just a gust at the end. I try not to fight too much with fade on these things. We'll pause it, switch batteries, see if we get a little better luck with the second one.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the 180 milliamp 2S 25C, and I'm just going to try to push that as far forward as I can. And there's kind of a cavity up there where you can stick that battery into. You can see it's magnetically attached. It's super nice. Big improvement. I'm kind of surprised they don't do that on more planes, to be honest. But this plane, it tends to fly a little bit quicker. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure why it's flying a little bit hokey right now, but partly because it's a little windier than I'm giving it credit for. It looks calm out there, but it's got a little bit of breeze. So we'll just test the throttle real quick, see how it looks. Yeah, we'll be okay with that. Just feel like she's kind of rolling a little bit on me, which is strange. You can see those lights are great. They really help, but they're not quite as intense as some that I put in. And the green's a little bit funny. but they are super light. They did a really nice job of installing them. And guys, this is no flaps. Really, I really do like this plane. It's one of my favorite go-to planes. Of course, you can still do rolls and loops with the floats. The floats are quite heavy too, so don't be surprised by that when you get them, because they are solid foam. Let's take off flaps are engaged there. Bring the angle of attack down a little bit. We'll do a full flat pass, try to get in here. Oh, shizzles. Sounds like I'm losing my power here. I'm gonna land it right there. So yeah, if you guys go out and find a vendor who's still selling these, get it. It's a beautiful plane. Really, really liked it in its heyday. Kind of an expensive plane though. I think it was going for about $170. It's one of the most expensive UMX planes, and it just has AS3X and flaps. But more detailed, the cockpit and everything's plastic. It's got a vent here to bring in cool air and keep things running for longer. Still got all the factory set up. And you can see, like I was telling you, I hit that light pole there and crashed down and landed with the wings broken. It was crazy. So we're gonna pause it. I'll grab the landing gear and show you my other setup for the landing gear. Got it on pause?
Yep.
All right, guys. I wanted to show you my Tundra tire setup. And I just put everything in a bag here so that when I'm switching them, it's not like a battle to find those little dinky screws. And in getting ready to switch out of these, I noticed that I have a little bit of a looseness on these. You can see that one wants to wiggle just a little bit more. And it's mostly the plastic separation. So what I was going to do is just grab some thin CA and get in there and just let it flow into this crack here. If you can get a shot of it. I don't know how you're going to see that very good because it flows right in. And basically, if you just wiggle it a little bit, it'll work its way down to the bottom of that joint, and then you can just give it a little kiss with this accelerant. Now, I want to show you the trick of the day that you guys probably already do. When you buy these bottles, they're freaking expensive, like 30 bucks. Of course, I always get deals on them somehow. And what I do is I keep this thing. You can see it's like up to there still. I don't even cut the tip. I just unscrew the tip and I put it in the smaller bottle that I had before. And that way I can keep all the different variety of glues fresh, and then I write when I split them. And that keeps the oxygen out. Because obviously this cap isn't going to seal up as good as having a sealed cap. And then the other thing you got to do is just get the tips clean. Otherwise, when you put the lid on, you'll eventually really compromise the seal. So if you aren't doing that, it's a good idea. And then this kicker stuff, it's so much easier to use CA when you've got kicker. And as you can see, I mean, that stuff is totally dry. I mean, like not even a hint of wet still. The only thing wet is that weird coconutty smell oil accelerant. And then the other thing I was going to show you my touch up before I switch these is that these things get scraped. And I'll just show you how I touch them up, and you guys can do whatever you want. But I buy this Tester's enamel. Can you try to get that so they can see those part numbers?
Yeah, hold it still. Okay. Yep.
Okay, so leave it there for a second. Mm-hmm. This one's obviously silver. And just make sure you mix it up nice. With silver, it's easy because you don't have to mix it perfectly. It just seems to kind of get into the solvent well. And what you can do is just, like I've said in other videos, you can just grab a Q-tip there. It's way easier, and then you don't have to clean the brush because it's enamel, so it will require having thinner sitting around. And just touch it up. And I've got a spot on the top, if I recall, and then one little spot over here. And obviously, guys, you're not going to spray this and cover the whole surface or anything like that. So you're just going for a touch-up job that's going to kind of obstruct some of the dings and nicks and things like that. I mean, these planes get beat to crap. I mean, really, let's just be honest. The foam planes, it's amazing that they last as long as they do. And I had one little spot up here. It looks like I had a prop hit it or something, which is really weird. Actually, I think I bought this off of a buddy. So it's possible maybe he broke it or something like that, and then I just didn't notice it. But the other thing I'm going to do is just spread my my paint silver, you can get away with doing that. If you try to do that with another color, it'll just not blend very well. And the other thing is this tester's enamel seems to be just a little bit shinier than the dullness of this. So anyway, we'll pause it and then I'll get my tools out for the other part of it. I just wanted to show you that real quick. Okay guys, I've got this 0.75 millimeter Phillips tip. It's a very small tip, obviously. And we just literally put the paint down, so it's only been just a few seconds, and this paint, like, it's already dry to the touch to where it won't come off. It's just one of the reasons why I really like enamel. If you do a light coat on foam, it's not going to be reactive enough to eat the foam away. Now, I wouldn't take raw foam and paint like a huge piece of it, because you will ruin it. It will eat the foam. So these are the factory wheels. Get a shot real close in there if you can. You see how there's a bushing in there? I think there's 2 bushings in there, and then I mean, you can just pull that off. The CA will break free. And then you've got these wheels, and I'll measure them real quick so you can tell they're Dubro, and they are heavy. So if we got a micrometer on there, the outside dimension is going to be for us. Now this is denoted in 10th, 20th, 30th of an inch, or so on and so forth there. So it looks like we're at about right at 45 meters, or 1.7, let's just call it 1.75 inches, or 1 3/4 of an inch. Dubro tires, and then the width, which they just look like awesome Tundra tires. Really like these tires. Looks like we're about 20 millimeters. Oh, excuse me. Looks like we're about 18 millimeters, or about 0.65 inches thickness. And that is incidentally the factory rod that comes with the Carbon Cub SS. So if you guys are gonna go buy this, you can buy the replacement parts still for this, and then you could just have them ready to swap out. The factory wheels are about 1/3 as big, and they just look stupid on these planes, I think. Which is funny, because I don't know that I've ever seen a Carbon Cub without having tires like this, or floats on it. So basically the Phillips screws go like this. It's not rocket science. I'll show you a trick I do when I'm pulling off really small hardware. Is I grab these magnets that I have, and I have them handy, because you will drop every single one of these stupid things. I guarantee you will, because if you're trying your best, they'll fall. So then basically when you're done, you can just lay that magnet down, and then these little things are labeled left and right. Can you try getting a shot like from over here and see if you can keep out of the shade? Yeah. This one says L on it. I don't know if you guys can make that out. L. Yeah. The other one says right, so it's a little easier to tell what it is. But why don't you go ahead and just pause it. You can take my word on undoing some screws, I think, guys. Okay, guys, here's your R we were talking about. And they set in here, and there's really no difference. I don't know why they labeled them. Okay, we'll go ahead and pause it again and then pick back up on the rest of these screws. Okay. Okay, guys. So I've got this undone. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to spin those little turds around, those little mount brackets. And once I get those mount brackets spun around, that's going to allow me to get in here and pull this thing out. But I'm actually just going to put it right back in. This comes out loose, but then this one actually has a little bit of pressure to it. So I'm just going to work that out. And you can see they just come off real nice. And yeah, I just painted that, so I probably should just put it upside down. So one way of doing it, you can just screw those back in, or you can take them out. I guess in my case, I'll probably just go ahead and take them out for the weight savings. And then to put this in, like on the Sport Cub UMX, or the Sport Cub UMX, it's not quite as tight a fit. So you really got to bend those things to get them in. Once it snaps in, then you can go ahead and take your right and your left piece. So this one here is the left piece. So you're going to take that left piece and drop it in here. Sorry guys, I know my fingers are going to block the view. And then you're going to take the screws. Magnetic tip screwdriver helps a lot. And now that I had these sitting on the magnet, they're probably magnetized to a certain degree as well. And you're just going to get her torqued in there. And these gear won't come out like the Sport Cub, but honestly, the Sport Cub SS UMX was safe. You know, it's a lot slower plane in general. It will not handle these gear in my estimation, because it's so much weaker with that brushed motor. This has the brushless motor. So now I've noticed you also, when you put these in, it will push out the landing gear a little bit, so you'll just have to kind of use your best judgment on if you've got them seated down there properly. And it's a little trickier to get the second one in because you got to keep it from shooting all over itself. You'll have to take my word for it. It's not really that hard, but when you get in there and actually do it yourself, you'll understand what I'm talking about. That is if you can find one of these to buy, or if you already have one, which, by the way, you're a lucky person because they supposedly discontinued them, and I just hate that they did. And look how much better that looks. It's so sweet looking. They look just like Tundra tires. The only thing I'm thinking about doing is taking a Dremel tool and going into the tread and actually relieving all that material out of there so they're quite a bit lighter. But I'll probably just hack them up and make them look like crap, so maybe I'll do that later for another video and you guys can learn what not to do. We're gonna go ahead and pause this video and we'll pick it back up when we get outside here in just a minute and you guys can see what it looks like flying.
Okay.
All right, guys, we got this red paint. Let's get a shot of the paint style. It's another enamel from Testers.
Wait, okay, there it goes.
So this one here is gonna be to touch up this nose. I know sometimes getting good matching colored paint is very tricky. And speaking of tricky, I can't get this one off because I haven't used the touch-up paint for a while. So that makes me always wonder if it's going to be any good when I get it open. Once you pause it, we'll come back to it in just a second.
Okay.
Okay, guys, we got that lid off. That was ridiculous. And I've been shaking it before we did this video. And kind of like what we did with the silver, not exactly rocket science, but I just like, once in a blue moon, I'll touch these things up, like every time I crash. So pretty much every time I fly them. And so I was just going to show you real quick. I hate getting brushes out, and I hate cleaning them. I don't mind getting brushes out at all. I just don't like cleaning them.
Do you even have brushes?
Yes, I do have brushes. I just rarely use them. So anyway, that's how you keep your planes looking slightly less crashed than if you didn't do that. Okay, we're going to be taking off the next time we unpause this.
Okay.
All right, guys. We're into the 300 milliamp 2S 35 through 70C nano-tech with the wheels, Tundra tires. Here we go. This is kind of perfect weather to showcase the Carbon Cub, because it looks Alaska-esque. Let's get some low passes here, hon.
Okay.
It's my nemesis there, the no parking sign. I've had more crashes with that no parking sign than any other item in my life. Anything. That includes me. I have not run into myself as much. Full flaps. Any of you AMA members watching and thinking how horrific it is that I'm flying this year, just restrain your gag mechanism and click like.
Ah.
So we've got the takeoff flaps on here.
Hold on, I can't see it. Okay, there we go.
Did you miss that whole pass?
Yeah, no, I got it right at the end. It wouldn't focus on it.
Guys, this plane is really a joy to fly. It's so beat to death that I'm embarrassed I didn't get more videos in its prime, but it's just so much fun. It's like I don't want to pause and videotape it. So if you figure out a way to buy one, let me know. I might buy another one. Who am I kidding? I'm not gonna buy it. I'll buy something else that I haven't had. That's the problem with these foamies. You know, they don't last forever. And you tend to push them a little harder when they're cheaper. What a beautiful looking plane. Let's do some touch and goes. I gotta land this way, hon, because that's where the wind's coming from.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. I checked for cars, we're good. So this will be a landing because I hear somebody getting out of the garage. Look at that, beautiful. You guys want to do a stall takeoff? Okay. That's with the crappy battery too. If I had a good battery, which would probably consist of something like a 3S battery at this point because it's so beat up and worn out, it'd be sweet. back in the day, you could take this thing off in like 6 inches, no matter what the flap condition was. That was a inadvertent one-wheel landing. Most people plan those things out. I don't. Just kidding, I do. UMX planes are hard to film, so my wife is pretty good at it. Pretty lucky she does this filming for me. And okay, so as you can see too, we're at about 3 minutes into the flight time here. This is flight number 3 for you. And it looks like we're running out of juice, so to speak. Do a little snap flap action with some takeoff flaps on that roll. Flip, if you will. Get some nice nice rudder turns in there. The AS3X makes this thing fly like it's on rails. And you should have seen how it flew when I had the factory tires and brand new batteries and everything. It was freaking awesome. Alright guys, without further ado, signing off. Let me give you one last look at it. Throttle cuts on. Look at those flaps come down. Awesome. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys.